Hello and welcome to day 2 of the GatherVerse Women Health Summit. I almost messed it up there. My name's Russell Bundy, and I'm going to be the moderator today. And what a superb chat with Caitlin and Christopher on that previous Fireside Chat. It was absolutely amazing, in-depth discussion. Like, I learned so much. But we're here with our Fireside Chat right now with the one and only amazing Cheryl. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Russell.
Could you please introduce yourself to everybody and also tell us what made you want to come to the Women Health Summit today?
Oh, I'm happy to. So my name is Cheryl Stryzelka. I come from an HR background. So my bread and butter right now is in the HR field, supporting a lovely organization. But I am here today representing my consulting group, Ugly Duckling Consulting. We do HR consulting for small organizations who either haven't had the function yet or are looking to grow and elevate their function. We also do some workshop facilitation. And so just a little new venture that I'm dabbling in is sort of
Okay.
And so Chris and I spoke this week about coming on and sort of announcing that new venture, and I wanted to be part of this because I think now, today, especially given the political climate and everything that's happening in the world, I think it's so important that we're celebrating women specifically as a group, and I think it's great that you have a whole summit dedicated to us, so thank you guys for that.
Absolutely. It's been such an interesting 2 days. I have learned so much, and it's very interesting, all the different aspects which there is to learn from. There's just so much to take in. But obviously, kind of coming back to yourself, Cheryl, which is, when it comes to the title of the Fireside Chat, which is, I am here, I am enough, and I am ready. What does that mean to you? Like when you read that sort of title, does that incorporate self-confidence, strength? Like what does it mean to you?
I'm excited that you asked. So this is actually a teaser. I am here, I am enough, I'm ready. Here, enough, and ready is an acronym. The acronym is HER. And this essentially is the framework for a book that my writing partner and I are putting together. And so I'm happy to kind of dive into that a bit, but that was the reason for the title of this talk.
Okay.
So it's exciting. Some exciting work we're doing.
Yeah, no, please, let's dive into the book. I mean, I want to hear more about it. Like, just tell us, like, give us an overview of, like, what the book's about, and also potentially what inspired you to do that as well.
Okay, I'm excited. So the book is right now 2 parts. The first part is a collection of stories. We've been conducting interviews with women, people having lived experiences as women in our circles, and have recently expanded the circle. The network is huge for the content for interviews. But essentially, we've been learning about women's lives and stories and the decisions that they've made and the choices that they've made, and often the sacrifices that they've made in their lives to be able to have something. So one part of the book is celebrating and honoring those stories. We think that those stories will help other women either through a tough situation, or maybe they've lived something similar and they can find some sort of partnership and kinship in sharing that story. And then the second piece of the book is the framework. It's the I am here, I am enough, I'm ready. And it's helping guide women to live a more authentic version of their own life. So I'll tell you where this sort of came from.
Yes, please.
There was one point in my life where I thought I wanted to write this book, but recently I turned 41 last year, and I have a almost 5-year-old daughter, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting on the decisions that I've made, and thought, as a woman in society, it's you get a lot of choices, hopefully, right? You get to make the decision to have a child or not. You get to choose to be in the workforce, or you choose your home as your main job, or maybe you get to choose your partner, and you make those choices every day. You continue to make that choice every day. You choose your children, you choose your partner, you choose your career, or whatever version of that. you prioritize, and through that you almost either forget or consciously decide not to choose yourself. And so much of our
Oh.
identity, so much of our identity as women is wrapped up in our career. But what happens if you get laid off, or wrapped up in
Mm-hmm.
your partnership that you've built? And what happens if for some reason you decide not to stay together, or your children go off to college, and then you look back in your life and you think, what do I even like anymore? What do I even do for fun? So I
Yeah.
had this moment where I was like, women need, I think we all, I'm going through this journey myself, we all need a way to figure out who we are and what makes us happy. So that's what this book does. That's the long
Yeah.
version. Sorry.
No, please. It's first of all, thank you for sharing everything, because from my point of view, it gives more in-depth context to, you know, why you created the book, what the book's about. And one of the things that kind of I was thinking of as you was speaking within all that, when you're saying about it's a collaboration of women sharing all their experiences together, and then you're talking about your own sort of personal experience and your journey as you was following suit. I'm curious, when you were speaking and doing the research, when you're speaking to various women within the book, was there any particular sort of one or two unique stories that just like hit home and you're like, yeah, I can connect to that? Like,
There was an aspect of every story that resonated with me. And I thought, I've felt that before, or I've been in that situation before. What I
mm,
can say, the common thread throughout all of the interviews was, there was a moment where through our conversations, I'll ask, do you feel satisfied with the life that you've chosen for yourself? And
ooh,
for the most part, the answer, I mean, almost always, the answer was yes, but. And so what I'm
ah,
finding, is that we're so proud of the lives that we've built, and
hmm,
we don't live with a lot of regret. So nobody looks back and says, I wish I didn't have a child, or I wish I wasn't this, in this role in this company. But they do say, where did the rest of me go in all of that? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I think we all have those sort of thoughts of like, what if I did this, or what if I did that, or but if I moved this direction, would my life be different? X, Y, and Z. And I think we all have those sort of like thoughts of I mean, even sometimes myself, I will sit there and go, what if I actually made a different choice? Like, would I be in a different place now? Or
I think it's
um
inevitable that you would be. And I think what we ask women to do, that's the I am here portion of the framework, is we ask
okay,
women to take an honest inventory of their life today. There, you
yeah,
find that when you think about, if you're doing an assessment of what your circumstances, some people are a little bit, maybe they exaggerate or they conflate their situation. Maybe they live beyond their means because they're not being realistic about what they have, or maybe they underestimate their skills or their background. But the I am here portion of the framework requires women to say, like, this is what I've built for myself. These are my circumstances. This is my network. These are my resources. These are the skills that I've acquired. This is what I would need to get to the next phase, or do the next thing that would make me happy. And so that's the first part. And we're not looking back anymore. We're not saying, I wish I would have. We're saying,
yeah,
what can I do now with what I have at my disposal?
like
So
like
I'm
like
glad you
like
brought that up.
like what's the action plan? Like, what is the next stage? Like, how can I move forward? So okay, so we've covered I am here, right? I'm here right now. This is my circumstances. This is what I got and stuff.
Mhm.
Where does the I am enough play into this? Because is that kind of like reassuring yourself, like, yeah, I am good enough, and I am here right now, and I am enough, as in, like, I can do things. So is that kind of like what it is, or tell
That's
me more
almost
about that?
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. This came to me. I was doing a somatic therapy session, and the therapist coaching me through these breathing exercises asked me to say the chant, the mantra, I am enough. And saying it out loud just brought tears to me, because I
Ah,
think just acknowledging that there's no version of yourself that's better. No matter what anybody else needs or wants
mm-hmm.
from you, no matter what dreams you have for yourself, that today everything you have at your disposal and everything you've learned up to this point has qualified you to be able to do the next thing. And so
That
I
is
think
true.
just saying out loud, I'm enough the way that I am today, and that
Exactly.
is enough. I think
Yeah.
that helps often. So that's why it's the second step. So you're assessing your situation in your world, and you're saying, this is my reality. And then you're saying, okay, now who I am today is ready to take that next step already. That's like the enough to the ready piece. Yeah.
So the I am ready piece is, oh, that's like the next steps, as in, right, now
Yeah.
I'm gonna take action, and this is what I'm gonna do to move forward, as in, I am here, I am enough right now, I'm, got the confidence and
Yeah.
everything, and I am ready to take my next step into my life, as in, you know, I want to pursue, I don't know, my career, or I want to pursue having a child, or whatever it may be, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's acknowledging that you have to give yourself permission. You don't have to wait for anybody to be okay with you doing
Mm.
the thing you've been waiting to do or
Hmm.
wanting to do. And so once you've acknowledged that you are enough to do that thing, all you have to do is take that step and
Exactly.
remind yourself that you don't need anybody else. You don't need validation from anywhere else. You're ready, just go. Just do it. You just saying the words out loud, I am ready, you start to believe it, and then you just start doing it. And it doesn't have to be the big action. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It can be a small step. And then every day it's a small step to whatever that thing is for you. And I'll tell you too, Russell, it's not always a major life change in general. Sometimes we just have to give ourselves permission to do something that we love, or something that gives us peace. Sometimes it's as simple as, I'm feeling under the weather this week, or I'm feeling drained, and I don't have the bandwidth to go do the commitment that I agreed to, and I'm going to give myself permission to rest. And so then you're just becoming closer to the version of yourself that you really are, instead of disingenuously going because you committed to the thing. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
like,
something that you can identify with, but that's something that women go through a lot.
uh, there's a lot of times where I've sometimes haven't had a good night's sleep, maybe, or something along those lines, or just feeling like really ill, and I'm just like, God, I don't want to go to this meeting, but I'm just like, sometimes I'm just like, I have to, like how you're saying, right? Sometimes you just feel obliged to, right? Because
That's true.
you kind of agreed that, and um
Well, and think about this too. What I notice in a lot of my interviews, and I'm really curious as to why. I'm a psych major, so to me, the why for what I'm about to say is the most important thing that I'm still trying to get
okay.
to. But women in society, generally speaking, we will commit to something and we just do it because we feel bad. And the reason, I think,
Mm,
I'm sure there's a lot to it, but so much of what is celebrated about women are qualities that aren't that aren't traits that they have, but how they make other people feel. So if you compliment a woman, you're probably more likely to say, as a compliment, you're so empathetic, you're so warm, you're such a good listener, you're so easy to talk to, you make people feel so good, you take care of all of us, like you're such a nurturer. And I don't know a lot of people that say those to men as compliments. They usually say it to women. And so we spend our whole lives feeling like
hmm.
it feels better when someone tells me I make them feel good. And you worry
Yeah.
less about how you feel about yourself. And so when you've made that commitment, it may be easier for you to get out of it, because maybe you don't hold yourself to the standard of I have to make them feel good about this. You may give yourself permission to say, well, I can miss this one, I'll be okay. Whereas a woman, we're like, I don't want to let them down, or I don't want to make them feel bad, or
Yeah.
make them feel like I didn't want to be there. So I think that there's just we have this sort of weird, I don't know what it is. I don't know if society trains us to feel this way, or if a lot of us just feel this way innately, but
I,
that's a
I,
struggle we're fighting.
I want to throw you a curveball, which is, what is the hope that when women read this book, what is the hope that you want them to take away from the book after reading it, or even listening to this conversation right now? Like, is there anything specific that you hope women take away in general?
That you haven't chosen wrong ever. You haven't made any bad decisions for yourself. That today is the day you can start. Everything is forward from here on out, looking forward and making decisions looking forward, and you have all of it in you. I know it feels cliche, but all of it is
Mm,
there within you somewhere. The knowledge is there, the capabilities, everything that you would need to chase that thing, your dream, whatever it is, it's already in you. And so the book isn't meant to be, oh, I'm the authority and I'm going to tell you how to be happy. The book is more, I'm going on this journey also. Come on this journey with me and let's learn together how we
mm.
find our own version of happiness and get to make choices for ourselves. And if that means deprioritizing some of these other things, or just intentionally building time in our lives to get to take those small steps, then that's what that is. But yeah, that wasn't a
And
curveball, Russell. Come on.
I mean, I thought it was. I thought it was a little bit, like a little couple. But and I want to know a bit more, sort of personally, your side, which is, you're saying about why, right? Question everything. What is your why?
Oh, 5 years ago, it might have been different. Today, it's my daughter. So for a few reasons, my I tell this story often whenever I have a talk like this. When my daughter was 3, we were trying to decide what she was going to be for Halloween, and she said, "I want to dress up as a doctor. I want to be a doctor for Halloween." And then she said, "Mommy, can boys be doctors too?" And when she asked that question, I was so proud that that because growing up, I'm an 80s child, and growing up and long before the 80s, there were certain professions that were attributed specifically to men.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had a male connotation. And so when she in her mind had only been around female doctors and knew it suddenly was just a doctor. It wasn't a female doctor anymore. um,
Ah,
so there was that piece, and then there's the other piece that she is my why, and she's the reason sort of I'm writing this book. It's to these generations also, is when I compliment her, I don't say, "Oh, you're so sweet, you're so kind, you're so helpful." I say, "You're brave and you're strong and you're smart and you make good decisions and you choose yourself." And I just want I realize that Gen Z and younger generations may not need our help. They're strong and smart and they've got it figured out and they're comfortable being selfish. But
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
think it's the women in their 30s and beyond and older that I think need this reminder. It's okay to choose yourself, and it's okay to not have to make everybody around you happy all the time. So
No,
that's a
I
long why.
no, I mean, look, here's the thing. When it comes to why it's so important, right? It's crucial. It's kind of like what is your mission, right, as a
Mhm,
personal individual, and what drives you every day. So the fact that you have that core foundation of your why is extremely important. And all of us have to have their own why. Like, why are we here today?
mhm,
Why are we even speaking and having this conversation? Why did we even make the book in the first place, right? And these are all
mhm,
different questions which you have to ask. And when you brought that up and you're saying about why, I was just like, yeah, that instantly makes me think, like, that's what I do. I'm like, why should I do this, or why should I do that? Or and it makes you question things, not question things in a bad way. It's more of inquisitive, right? You want to
sure,
know
yeah.
more, you want to learn more, which brings me to my final point, which is, what do you want people to learn from your book? Like, I know you got I am here, I am enough, I am ready, but is there any one point particularly within that book that you really want them to just learn that specific section? Maybe it is the framework, maybe it is one of the stories that was shared within the book. Is there
Mhm.
anything in particular that you can think of?
I think that the feeling that you're not alone is always helpful. I'm trying to be as inclusive as possible when I'm collecting data within this book, because there's it's not I think that as a white woman, I'm having a very different experience than women of color, specifically Black women, or trans women. I think that their stories are so much more complex and complicated than
Mm,
even mine. And so, as I'm going through my interviews, I'm making sure that I'm trying to capture their voices, because it's not my story to tell. I don't even dare to speak on behalf of folks who are having an experience that I'm not. But I think it's important to capture it and to represent it in some way, because I think as a white woman, it's my responsibility to be vocal, and do some of that work and tell some of the story, because I think specifically women of color are tired of telling their own story and telling you why you should be supporting them. So
Yeah.
within this book, we will capture a lot of voices and a lot of perspectives, and hope that it will resonate with somebody out there. And I think that it will.
Cheryl, I think time is almost up, but one last thing I want to say is, first of all, GatherVerse community, make sure you do follow Cheryl on her amazing journey and the book that she just wrote. And it's so insightful, supportive. There's so much to learn, the frameworks. Like, go and support Cheryl if you are watching and listening right now. And make sure you add her on LinkedIn. And also make sure you go and buy her book as well. I am here. I am enough. I am ready. Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us here at GatherVerse Women's Health Summit. It's a pleasure having you on the stage. I learned so much as well. And I appreciate you being here today. And as Christopher says as well, every woman matters, every voice matters.
Thanks,
I'll finish
Russell.
with that.
I appreciate it. Have a great one.
Goodbye. Thank you, guys. Our Gather was well.